Hello, dear sister, and welcome back to the Fabienne Show. Today, I want to gently pull back the curtain on something that I've seen happen over and over again with the women that I get to work with. And if I'm being honest, it's something that I've worked through myself deeply. I think this is ingrained in all women, and it is this. Even when the chaos has settled, even when the money is coming in, even when your schedule opens up and there's some free space, there is almost this itch to go and do more. I remember a woman that I was working with a few years ago. She crossed the $1 million mark. She wrote me this email. She's like, Fabienne, I crossed it. I crossed the 7-figure mark. And in the same email, in the next paragraph, she's like, well, I guess I have to go and change my goal to 10 million a year now. And I was like, slow down, slow down. Can we just really accept what you've done and who you've become? And what I think this is coming from is a low level guilt when things feel too easy. It's this subconscious need to fill the space with more, with productivity, just, pushing just a little bit more to feel like you're earning it. Does this sound familiar at all? Today's episode is about something that I call the hidden addiction to struggle. And I want to offer you a new way of seeing this, one that isn't so much about shame or blame, because that's not what I'm here for. But I want to gently point out what's really happening in your nervous system and in your self-image and show you how to finally create a new pattern that allows ease. Because ease isn't boring. It is the step to your next evolution of 7-figure freedom. And by the way, I'm writing a new book called 7-Figure Freedom this year. Now, I just want to go back to the beginning and talk about how struggle became your baseline. For many of us, especially as women, especially as ambitious, high-achieving women, struggle is not just something that we've survived, is something that we learn to associate with value, with worth, and with success, honorable success. And maybe you grew up in a household where working hard was the moral standard. In fact, one of the things that I realized recently is that many of the women that I've worked with who tie struggle with success are people who are immigrants or their parents who are immigrants or farmers. They grew up on a farm, believe it or not. And this ties us back to us right now. This conversation is when rest is seen as lazy or when success is only celebrated if it comes with sacrifice, we create a meaning that success should be hard and we should constantly be busy. Maybe that's what you were praised for as a kid, maybe in school, right? And maybe you were also praised for being strong and for doing it all. Maybe for being independent or being the one who could handle it. And slowly, even without realizing it, your nervous system got wired for struggle. And struggle became familiar. Struggle became proof that you were trying hard enough and that you were good enough. And even if you're not consciously choosing chaos or overproductivity, your body and your subconscious are recreating it because it's what you know. It's what feels safe. And there's also something physiological that is happening. I'm realizing how much the dopamine loop of productivity and urgency is tied to you being the bottleneck in your business and not moving to the next level. So I have to admit something to you that kind of proves this is sometimes I've done something that isn't on my to-do list. And after I've done it, I go and write it onto the list so I can cross it off. Have you ever done that? Right? Because every time you cross something off your list, you solve a problem or you pull the rabbit out of the hat or you push through exhaustion just to make that deadline, your brain gets a little hit of dopamine. I find myself doing this too, in the sense of waiting to start a new project until the deadline is looming, right? I'm just sharing this with you to be transparent. I'm not on a pedestal. I think this is something that we've been wired to feel good about. And so if you've spent years in that loop of dopamine, urgent deadlines, back-to-back appointments, over delivering to your clients, staying up late to start something that's due the next day, or staying up late to fix everything yourself, then your body becomes addicted to the chemistry of stress. I see this because some of the women that I work with, we get them out of the day-to-day of their business through team and systems and a different business model, and they feel strange with nothing to do. They feel guilty that they have so much time and nothing to work on. You think that you're addicted to achievement, but in my estimation, you are really addicted to the feeling of stress being relieved. You're addicted to relief from stress. And that is why ease feels boring. And that's why peace can feel like something is wrong, why spaciousness and nothing to do on the calendar or no client emergencies can suddenly make you feel anxious. I have seen it with the women who I get to seven figures. When they start to experience their life back, the system doesn't recognize calm as success, but as something to fix. So if this is landing for you, I want to talk about some of the signs that maybe you are hooked on struggle energy. There are a few signs that might point to you living in that energy. One of them is that you constantly overbook yourself. And I have noticed that sometimes I do this in my personal life as well, right? Even when you don't need to, you just fill the time. Or you feel uneasy or guilty when you rest. Like, I literally know women who don't know what to do with their free time. It makes them anxious. Maybe you avoid hiring support because it's just faster to do it myself, right? Or you stay in a reactive loop of checking Asana and your phone and your inbox and your texts and your team's Slack messages. You're constantly like hitting refresh to see where you might be needed. You may also feel like you have to earn your time off, like you have to struggle to enjoy your time off. You know that saying, like, work hard, play hard, that we've borrowed from the guys? You sabotage ease by saying yes, or maybe you sabotage ease by saying yes to things that you don't want to do, beyond obligation, just trying to fill the calendar or your to-do list. And I just want to be clear that there isn't anything that's wrong with you. It just means that your identity and your nervous system have been wired to associate effort with worth. But now, if you want to experience more income, more impact, and more freedom, there's got to be a new way so that you are not drained, exhausted, and staying the bottleneck. So let's talk about what it takes to unwind this pattern, something that I've worked on and I work on with the women who choose to work with me within Bold Heart. It's about detoxing from the struggle pattern. So as with practically all things healing, the first step is awareness. You cannot change what you don't see. So it's time to start paying attention. Where do you recreate struggle just out of habit? I want you to think about that. Where do you say yes when you deep down want to say no and it doesn't make sense, but you just accept the obligation or accept the project or say yes to things and you're like inside you're screaming no? And where are you filling your schedule just to avoid the anxiety of stillness? This is what I want you to think about. Then it's about normalizing ease. And within Bold Heart, we do a lot of inner work to accept more abundance and accept more ease. Look at changing your beliefs, your identity, and really reducing the idea that everything has to be chaotic, and instead having you feel that ease and grace are normal. And that begins by intentionally choosing it before it feels natural, right? So it means protecting space on your calendar and not filling it and being okay with white space, right? It means not rescuing your team from every single tiny fire or picking up the slack when all they really need to do is go into the operations manual and figure out how to do it themselves, right? I know this is going to sound crazy. It may mean taking a nap during the day when your body needs rest, even if your to-do list is completely full. At first, doing this is probably going to feel uncomfortable. Maybe you're going to feel guilty. And that's normal because you're detoxing from an identity, not just a habit. So it's about getting used to feeling uncomfortable in this period of not having to react to everything. And finally, let's talk about rewiring your identity around ease and expansion that feels like there's lots of white space. This is about becoming the woman who sees ease as productive, that sees thinking time rather than doing time as a way to grow your business. And we do that by doing some subconscious work, by doing some inner work that makes sure that ease is what allows your brilliance to emerge. Because ease is actually what allows your creativity to flow. Ease and white space in your calendar is where you listen for and hear the divine guidance. Ease is what allows you to think bigger and lead your team better and actually enjoy the life that you're working so hard to build. It doesn't have to be hard. But to get there, you're going to need to rewrite your definition of success. And this kind of success is not one that comes through exhaustion or struggle or hustle, again, like the guys want us to do. This is success through alignment, right? Choosing to honor your energy as sacred. It is identity-based leadership. This is what it means to scale your business without scaling your stress. And if you've struggled up until now, this is a thing that needs to be addressed. It's inner work that makes the strategy stick. Because in the end, when you finally get this, and I'm here for you if you need me, this is when you scale your business. You grow your impact and you reach more people and you change more people's lives. But it's also when you increase what you pay yourself, what your business makes, and you take more vacations. When I talk at Bold Heart about taking 14 weeks of vacations or time away from your business, this is the freedom that I'm talking about. And so, what I really want you to get from our conversation today is that you are allowed to feel good. Okay. It's not about feeling stressed all the time to feel like you're doing a good job. You are allowed to receive and to rest and to create a life and business that are not just joyful and spacious, but just easeful. Right? And it doesn't mean that you don't work hard, right? We like to work hard. We wouldn't have become self-employed if we didn't. And it doesn't mean that you're not ambitious, right? I'm ambitious. I want to reach my next big level. But it simply means that you're no longer willing to suffer to succeed. I'm just going to say that again. It means that you're no longer willing to suffer to succeed. Because your next level, and maybe for you that's 7 figures or 8 figures, is going to require you to stop recreating struggle. It's about doing less better. It's about using leverage in your life and in your business. And it's about trusting that peace and ease is safe. It's about expanding your capacity to allow your life to be calm, no matter what was taught to you, no matter what you experienced as a child. Because again, ease and grace isn't boring. It is part of your next evolution. And as always, If you feel like you can't do this alone or you don't want to do this alone and you want to be in a community of exceptional women doing the strategy, the inner work together, if you want my experience and my expertise and you want to feel deeply supported, then I can help you shift into that new identity and give you the strategies to grow without working so hard. And I would love to talk to you. You may know that every month I open up a few spots for get acquainted calls with me. It's your opportunity to jump from listening to a podcast to actually having a conversation with me. And this is where I listen deeply about what's going on in your business, what's working, what's not working, and I mirror back to you what I believe are your strategic blocks, but also your mindset blocks. And then together we talk about what a path for you, a customized path for you to get to 7 or 8 figures would look like. And if you'd like to apply for one of these get acquainted calls with me, you can go to the link in the show notes, or you can go to boldheart.com/call. And if you are qualified, then you and I can map out how you can grow your business from a place of struggle to a place of flow and joy. And I'm just going to use the word again, ease, because you deserve that. And I think if you're here on this podcast, you are ready for it. Okay. So as always, just know that I fiercely believe in you and your bigger future. I know in my bones that you deserve more abundance of time and deliciousness and that you can have it. Okay. I'm sending you so much love. I'll see you next time.